Welcome to Sleepy English. Listening before sleep helps your brain remember better and repeat what you learn. So relax, close your eyes, and just listen. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. The water bottle. During the day, Alex often feels tired and cannot understand why. He drinks coffee in the morning and sometimes juice at lunch, but he rarely drinks water. One afternoon, he reads a short article about how important water is for the body and mind. The next day, he fills a large water bottle and places it on his desk at work. Every hour, he takes a few small sips, even if he is not very thirsty. After some days, he notices that he feels more awake and has fewer headaches. His concentration also improves, and he does not feel as tired in the afternoon. Alex understands that small health habits can make a big difference over time. From then on, he carries his water bottle with him everywhere and remembers that simple actions can support a better daily life. The small savings jar. Lena wants to save money, but she thinks it is difficult because her salary is not very high. One evening, she finds an empty glass jar in her kitchen and decides to use it for small savings. Every day, she puts a few coins inside the jar after coming home from work. Sometimes it is only a small amount, but she continues the habit without stopping. At first, the jar looks almost empty, and she feels unsure if the idea will work. After a few weeks, however, the jar becomes heavier, and she can hear the coins touching each other inside. Lena feels unmotivated and begins to avoid buying unnecessary snacks or drinks. After 2 months, she opens the jar and counts the money. She is surprised because the total is more than she expected. Lena understands that saving does not require a large amount at once. It only requires patience and regular small actions. The early night. For many nights, Daniel stays awake very late, watching videos on his phone, and every morning he feels tired when the alarm rings. One evening, he decides to try sleeping earlier to see if it changes his day. He turns off his phone, prepares a warm drink, and reads a few pages of a book before bed. At first, he cannot fall asleep quickly because he is not used to the new routine, but he closes his eyes and relaxes. The next morning, he wakes up before the alarm and feels more rested than usual. During the day, he notices he has more energy and can focus better at work. Daniel understands that good sleep is not only about hours, but also about healthy evening habits. From that on, he tries to go to bed at the same time each night to help his body rest properly. The helpful reminder. Sophie often forgets small things like meetings, birthdays, or tasks she plans to finish during the day. Because of this, she sometimes feels stressed and unprepared. One morning, she decides to use the reminder app on her phone more carefully. She writes simple notes for important tasks and sets gentle alarms to help her remember. During the day, the reminders appear at the right time, and she completes her work without rushing. She also adds a reminder to call her parents in the evening, something she often forgets. When the alarm rings later, she smiles and makes the call, enjoying the conversation. At the end of the day, Sophie feels organized and calm. She understands that tools can help people manage time better when they use them wisely and consistently. The shared table. At lunchtime, Kevin usually eats alone at his desk while looking at his computer screen. One day, the office kitchen is very busy, and there is only one free chair at a large table where several co-workers are already sitting. Kevin feels shy, but he asks if he can join them, and they welcome him with friendly smiles. During lunch, they talk about weekend plans, favorite foods, and funny moments at work. Kevin laughs more than he expects and forgets about his stress for a while. After lunch, he returns to his desk feeling lighter and more relaxed. He realizes that sharing small daily moments with others can improve mood and create stronger connections. From that day on, he sometimes chooses to eat with his coworkers instead of staying alone. The Bus Stop Book. Every morning, Alina waits for the bus for about 10 minutes, and she usually spends that time looking at her phone without thinking. One day, she decides to bring a small book with her instead. While waiting at the bus stop, she reads a few pages and becomes interested in the story. The time seems to pass faster, and she feels calmer before starting work. Other passengers arrive and stand nearby, but Alina stays focused on reading. After several days, she notices she has already finished many chapters just during short waiting times. She feels proud because she is using small moments more wisely. Alina understands that free time exists in many parts of the day, and even a few minutes can become meaningful when used with intention. The Open Window. After working on his computer for many hours, Leo begins to feel tired and unable to concentrate. The room feels warm and heavy, and he realizes he has not moved or taken a break for a long time. He stands up and opens the window to let fresh air come inside. A cool breeze enters the room, and he hears birds and distant city sounds. Leo stretches his arms and takes a few deep breaths while looking outside. After a few minutes, he feels more awake and ready to continue working. He understands that short breaks and fresh air can help the mind rest and improve focus. From that day on, Leo remembers to open the window and step away from his screen whenever he feels tired. The Lost Wallet. One afternoon, Maria is walking home from work when she sees a wallet on the ground near a bus stop. She stops and looks around, but no one seems to be searching for it. She picks it up and opens it carefully to see if there is any information inside. She finds some money, a few cards, and an ID card with a name and address. For a moment, she thinks about leaving it at the police station, but then she notices that the address is not very far from where she is. Maria decides to walk to the house and ring the doorbell. After a short wait, a worried man opens the door. When Maria shows him the wallet, his face changes from fear to relief. He thanks her many times and explains that he was very stressed because the wallet had important documents inside. Maria feels happy as she walks home again. She understands that returning something valuable does not take much time, but it can save someone from a big problem. The Weekend Plan. On Friday evening, Thomas sits at his desk and thinks about the weekend. Many times he spends Saturday and Sunday doing nothing special and later feels that the day passed too quickly. This time he decides to make a simple plan. He writes 3 small activities in his notebook: clean his room, visit his sister, and go for a walk in the park. On Saturday morning, he starts with cleaning, and it feels good to organize his space. In the afternoon, he visits his sister, and they drink tea and talk about their week. On Sunday, he walks slowly in the park and enjoys the fresh air. When Sunday night arrives, Thomas feels satisfied because he used his time well. He understands that a small plan can help turn an ordinary weekend into a meaningful one. The simple smile. On his way to work, Adam usually walks quickly and looks at the ground without noticing the people around him. One morning, he decides to try something different and looks up while walking. When he makes eye contact with a woman waiting at the traffic light, he gives a small, polite smile. She smiles back, and the moment feels simple but warm. Later, he smiles at the security guard in his office building, and the guard greets him in a friendly voice. During the day, Adam notices that these small smiles change his mood and make conversations easier. He feels more open and less stressed. At the end of the day, he understands that kindness does not always require words. Sometimes a simple smile can create a positive connection and improve the atmosphere for both people. A simple morning. Tom wakes up at 7 every morning. He feels tired, but he does not stay in bed. He gets up, washes his face, and drinks a glass of water. After that, he makes a simple breakfast with eggs and bread. While he eats, he looks out of the window and watches people going to work. Sometimes he wants to sleep more, but he knows a good morning routine helps him feel better all day. Before leaving the house, he checks his bag and makes sure he has his keys and phone. Tom understands that small morning habits make his day easier and more organized. The new cafe. Anna walks to work every day using the same street. One morning, she sees a small new cafe near the corner. She usually walks past quickly, but today she decides to stop and go inside. The cafe is quiet and soft music is playing in the background. A friendly worker smiles and says hello to her. Anna orders a cup of coffee and a small sandwich. She sits near the window and watches people walking outside. Some people are talking, some are in a hurry, and others are walking their dogs. Anna feels calm because she does not usually take time to sit and relax in the morning. She opens her notebook and writes a short plan for the day. After finishing her coffee, she feels more awake and happy. When she leaves the cafe, she decides to come back again another day, because a small change in her routine makes her morning feel special and new. A small help. David is on the bus after work. The bus is full and many people are standing. At the next stop, an old man gets on the bus. He walks slowly and looks tired. David is sitting near the door. He stands up and says, "You can sit here." The old man smiles and thanks him. David holds the handrail and looks out of the window. The bus moves through the city, and people get on and off at every stop. David feels a little tired, but he also feels good inside. He thinks about how small actions can help other people. When he gets off the bus, the old man waves goodbye. David walks home with a quiet smile, understanding that being kind does not need money or big plans. It only needs attention and a simple decision to help. The Lost Key. Maya comes home in the evening after a long day at work. She looks in her bag for her keys, but she cannot find them. She checks every pocket again and again, and soon she starts to worry. She remembers sitting in the park earlier, so she walks back there slowly and looks around the bench where she was resting. The park is quiet and only a few people are walking their dogs. After a few minutes, she sees something shiny under the bench. It is her key. Maya feels very relieved and laughs at herself. On the way home, she decides to choose one special place in her bag for her keys every day. When she finally opens her door, she feels calm and happy, and she learns that small habits can save time and prevent stress. The evening walk. After dinner, Lucas feels tired from sitting all day at work, so he decides to go outside for a short walk around his neighborhood. The air is cool and the streets are quieter than during the day. He walks slowly and watches the lights in the houses and the cars passing by. A small dog runs past him, and its owner smiles and says hello. Lucas realizes he often stays at home and looks at his phone instead of moving his body. As he continues walking, he begins to feel more relaxed, and his thoughts become calmer. He notices trees moving in the wind and hears people talking softly from nearby cafes. After 20 minutes, he returns home feeling fresh and awake. Before going to sleep, he decides to make evening walks a regular habit because even a short walk can improve his mood and help him rest better at night. The first day at the gym. Sarah wants to feel stronger, so she decides to join a small gym near her house. On her first day, she feels nervous because she does not know how to use the machines. She stands near the door for a moment and watches other people exercising. A trainer sees her and walks over with a friendly smile. He shows her how to use a simple machine and tells her to start slowly. Sarah follows his advice and does a few easy exercises. After 10 minutes, she feels more comfortable and less afraid. She understands that everyone starts as a beginner and that practice makes things easier. When she leaves the gym, she feels proud of herself for trying something new. At home, she writes in her notebook that the first step is always the hardest, but it is also the most important one. The missed call. When Daniel finishes his shower, he sees a missed call in his phone from his mother. He feels a little worried because she usually sends a message first. He quickly calls her back and waits for her to answer. After a few seconds, she picks up and laughs softly. She says it was not an emergency. She only wanted to ask about his day and hear his voice. Daniel feels relieved and tells her about work, his lunch, and the new project he is starting. They talk for a few minutes and the conversation feels warm and simple. After the call ends, Daniel realizes he does not call his family as often as he should. He decides to make more time for short phone calls during the week. He understands that staying in touch with family does not require long conversations, only small moments of attention and care. The Broken Cup. One morning, Emily drops her favorite cup while washing the dishes, and it breaks into several small pieces on the kitchen floor. She feels sad because the cup was a gift from her best friend. For a moment, she wants to feel angry, but she takes a deep breath and starts cleaning the pieces carefully. While she is cleaning, she remembers the day her friend gave her the cup and the fun time they had together. She realizes that the memory is more important than the object. Later that day, she sends her friend a message and tells her what happened. They laugh about it and decide to meet for coffee. Emily understands that things can break, but good memories and friendships stay strong. The early bus. Kevin usually takes the bus at 8 o'clock, but one morning he arrives early at the bus stop because he wakes up before his alarm. The streets are quiet and the air feels fresh and cool. He sits on the bench and watches the city slowly wake up. A baker opens his shop, a woman walks her dog, and a few students wait for their buses. When the early bus arrives, Kevin decides to get on instead of waiting for the usual one. The bus is almost empty, and he finds a seat by the window. During the ride, he feels calm and relaxed because there is no noise or crowd. He arrives at work earlier than usual and has time to drink coffee peacefully before starting. Kevin realizes that waking up a little earlier can change the feeling of the whole day and give him a quiet moment before everything becomes busy. The small plant. Lily buys a small green plant from a street market because she wants to make her room feel more alive. At home, she puts the plant near the window where it can get sunlight. During the first few days, she forgets to water it, and the leaves begin to look weak. She feels worried and quickly gives it water and moves it to a better place. Every morning after that, she checks the plant before leaving the house. Slowly, new leaves start to grow, and the plant looks healthy again. Lily feels happy when she sees the change because her care makes a difference. She understands that living things need regular attention, just like habits and friendships. Taking care of the small plant also reminds her to slow down and notice small changes in daily life. The forgotten lunch. One afternoon, Mark opens his bag at work and realizes he forgot his lunch at home. He feels hungry and a little annoyed because he tries to save money by bringing food from home every day. For a moment, he thinks about buying fast food, but then he decides to walk to a small supermarket nearby. Inside, he chooses simple and healthy food like bread, cheese, and fruit. He sits on a bench outside and eats slowly while watching people pass by. The short walk and fresh air make him feel better. Mark understands that small problems during the day are not disasters, and there's always another simple solution. When he returns to work, he feels calm and ready to continue his tasks. The rainy morning. On Monday morning, Clara wakes up early and hears the sound of heavy rain outside her window. She planned to walk to work, but now the streets are wet and the sky is dark. For a few minutes, she feels disappointed because she does not like walking in the rain. She makes a warm cup of tea and sits at the kitchen table, listening to the rain hit the glass. Then she decides to wear her raincoat and take an umbrella instead of changing her whole plan. Outside, she walks carefully and watches the water move along the street. Some people look unhappy, but others smile and jump over small puddles. Clara begins to enjoy the fresh smell of rain and the quiet morning atmosphere. When she arrives at work, her shoes are a little wet, but she feels proud because she did not let the weather control her mood. She understands that sometimes the day changes, but we can choose how we react to it. The old photo. While cleaning her room on Sunday, Nina finds an old photo inside a book on her shelf. In the photo, she is standing next to her childhood friend in front of their old school. They are smiling and holding ice cream in their hands. Nina sits in her bed and looks at the picture for a long time. She remembers how they used to walk home together and talk about their dreams for the future. Over the years, they stopped speaking often because they moved to different cities. Nina feels a little sad, but also thankful for the good memories. She decides to send the photo to her friend with a short message saying hello. A few minutes later, her friend replies with excitement and suggests meeting soon. Nina realizes that even if time passes, it is never too late to reconnect with someone important. The clean desk. After finishing work one evening, Oliver looks at his desk and sees papers, empty cups, and small notes everywhere. He feels tired, but he also feels uncomfortable because the mess makes it hard to think clearly. Instead of leaving everything for the next day, he decides to spend 10 minutes cleaning. He throws away trash, puts the papers in one pile, and washes his cup in the kitchen. Slowly, the desk begins to look simple and organized again. When he sits down, he feels lighter and more relaxed. The next morning, he arrives at work and smiles when he sees the clean space. He starts his tasks quickly because nothing distracts him. Oliver understands that a clean environment can help the mind feel calm and focused. Sometimes a few minutes of effort can improve the whole next day. The new route. Every day, Julia walks home using the same street after work because it is the fastest way. One evening, she notices a small park on another road and decides to try a different route. At first, she feels unsure because the place is new to her, but soon she hears birds and children playing nearby. She walks slowly along a path with trees and benches and watches people relaxing after a long day. A man is reading a book, and a group of friends are laughing together. Julia realizes she usually rushes home without noticing places around her neighborhood. The short walk through the park makes her feel calmer and less tired. When she finally arrives home, she feels as if she had a small break during her day. She decides that sometimes changing routine can bring new energy and help her enjoy simple moments more. The quiet evening. After dinner, Ben usually watches television for many hours without thinking. One evening, the internet stops working and he cannot watch his favorite show. At first, he feels bored and does not know what to do. He walks around the house and finally sits on the balcony with a glass of water. The night air feels cool and the street is quiet. He listens to the sounds of cars far away and a cat moving near the garden. After some time, he brings a book from his room and starts reading a few pages. He is surprised because he feels calm and focused without the noise of the television. When the internet comes back later, Ben does not turn it on again. He understands that quiet moments can be peaceful and that sometimes problems create new and better habits. The friendly neighbor. One Saturday morning, Emma hears a knock on her door. When she opens it, she sees her new neighbor holding a small box of cookies. The neighbor smiles and says she just moved into the building and wants to say hello. Emma feels happy because she was curious about the new person next door. They stand in the hallway and talk for a few minutes about work, hobbies, and the neighborhood. Emma learns that her neighbor likes cooking and reading, just like her. Before leaving, they exchange phone numbers in case they need help in the future. Later that day, Emma feels less alone in the building. She understands that simple introductions can create new friendships and make a place feel more like home. The supermarket list. On Saturday morning, Peter decides to go shopping because his refrigerator is almost empty. Before leaving home, he writes a shopping list so he does not forget anything important. At the supermarket, he pushes a cart slowly through the aisles and checks his list again and again. He buys vegetables, milk, bread, eggs, and some fruit for the week. At one point, he sees chocolate on sale and wants to buy it, but he looks at his list and thinks carefully before adding it to the cart. The supermarket is busy and many people are choosing food for the weekend. While waiting in line, Peter notices how helpful the list is because he feels organized and calm. When he arrives home, he puts everything in the refrigerator and realizes he bought exactly what he needed. He understands that a simple plan can save time, money, and energy, and he decides to make a shopping list every week from now on. The morning music. Every morning, Carla prepares for work in silence, and she often feels sleepy and slow. One day, she decides to play music while getting ready. She chooses soft, happy songs and lets them play in the background while she makes breakfast and drinks her coffee. Soon, she notices that her mood begins to change. She moves faster, smiles more, and even sings quietly while washing the dishes. The music makes the small morning tasks feel lighter and more enjoyable. When she leaves the house, she still feels the energy from the songs in her mind. During the bus ride, she realizes that the day started differently because of one small change. Carl understands that music can influence feelings and help create a positive start to the day, so she decides to make morning music part of her daily routine. The thank you note. After finishing a difficult project at work, Ryan receives help from his colleague Mia, who stays late to support him. The next day, Ryan feels thankful, but is not sure how to show his appreciation. Instead of only saying a quick thanks, he writes a small note and leaves it on Mia's desk before she arrives. In the note, he explains how her help made his work easier and how much he values teamwork. When Mia reads the message, she smiles and thanks him for the kind words. The simple note creates a positive atmosphere in the office, and they both feel more comfortable working together. Ryan understands that appreciation should not stay only in our thoughts. Even short written words can make someone feel seen and respected. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more simple and relaxing English practice. See you next time.